Okay, in the last session, what we have seen is we have seen point to site, site to site, VPN gateways, gateway transits. So these are some topics which we covered in last session, and there is one lab which we couldn't do. That is connect after VNet peering, we were trying to connect a VM, connect the VMs between two different regions. That I will go ahead and show you, and also the routing tables which I mentioned in yesterday's session, the previous session. So there is a routing rule which is getting added in inbound rules. So that we will go ahead and check what is that getting added. Okay, then we'll continue with today's topics, that is system and user-defined routes, then Azure private endpoints and Azure service endpoints. Especially Azure private endpoints is one of the important topics because this is something which we configure in every architecture diagram, infrastructure architecture diagrams or infrastructure setup.
Okay.
Kelly, yeah. So what I've done for this lab to show you the connectivity. So let me go back to the infrastructure diagram. So here in this diagram, you see this VNet A and VNet B. They are in two different regions. In the previous lab, we were trying to connect a VM in subnet 1 to a VNet to a VM in subnet 2, which is in a two different region. I mean, they are the VMs in two different regions. So what I've done, I have created two VNets, VNet East US, VNet Main. One VNet is in East US, the second VNet is in Central US.
Okay.
And, yeah, and inside these VNets, I have created VMs. VM1 is in Central US and VM2 is in East US. They are in two different VNets which we have created. So right now, I will try to go ahead and log into one of the VMs, then try to connect to the VM in a different region. So for this, we need peering, right? This peering. This is a VNet to VNet connection, but I have configured peering, this one, peering, to connect the VMs. Okay, let me connect. Mm. So these VMs, as I said, these are, we need to open SSH 22.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went ahead and I checked the NSG rules, so I'll go to this NSG groups, and for VNet, for VM1 NSG, if I go here and check, you see here, so when we are trying to create a VM with um, with SSH open, so what is happening? It is opening, it is adding one rule, SSH rule.
Okay.
So source is any, and port is star. That means any, and it is trying to open the service SSH and TCP, and the priority is 300. So this is what is getting added. So this was missing in the previous lab, and we were not able to connect. Now let me connect to one the VM. I will try to connect to East US VM, VM2, and then try to log remote into VM1. Now we connect via Bastion. Azure user and password, which I have saved already. Connect. Let me try with the another username and password. Okay, I'm able to connect. So right now I'm on VM1. So I will try to connect to VM1. That will be SSH. And this is, what is the IP of this thing? IP ADD. IP of this one is 10.0.0.4, and now I recall the IP of the another VM, that is 192.168.0.4. So SSH admin user at the rate 192.168.0.4. Yes. And it is asking password, capital P, H, S, W, O, R, T, 345. Okay, capital B at the rate SSW. Let me go back to the VM1. Let me reset the password. Virtual machines, VM1. I reset the password. Now let me try again. Still updating. Okay, this is now updated. Then set on VM2. Then I'll try to connect at the rate SSW RD 12345. So IPADDR. So let me check if I'm connected. So right now you are on 192.168.0.14. So now you are on VM1 host name. Let
Fine.
me type host name. So it says VM1. So now you are able to connect to the other VM, which is in Central US region. So this is how you can connect. I'm coming back to VM2. So once you type exit, you are back to VM2. So I will try to exit from here as well. So this will log out. Okay, close the session. So this is what I wanted to show you, how you can connect the VMs after peering. Now we'll go back to today's session, system and user routes. Okay, virtual network traffic routing, system routes. So basically, this traffic routing, right? Inside Azure, there are two different type of routes. One is user-defined routes. The second one is a system routes. So what are these routes and why do we need these routes? In Azure, there are different resources. Like if you take this diagram, there are VMs in subnet 1 and VMs in subnet 2. So they should be able to communicate. These are some resources. These are some resources into in a different subnet. Similarly, they can be in a different VNet. They can be in a different region. So there should be routes. So for example, if you go to a shopping mall, so you see it is a 10-floor shopping mall. So you see some boards in the first floor. If you go right, you have this central, you have this footwear center or a shop, a clothing mall or like that. You have some boards and instructions where you can see, okay, if you go left, you have this. If you go right, you have this. So there are some instructions. If you follow, you can reach to your um, destination or like that where you want to go. So these are the routes which will help us to reach your destination. So even when you are starting from your home and you are trying to go to office, right? The source is your home and destination is your office. So on the way, you are following some instruction and boards on the road to reach to your office. So those are nothing but routes which are helping us to reach our destination. So these routes are nothing but some instructions or a table of instructions which are helping the packets to reach the destination. Okay, some are system defined, like as soon as you add a new VM here, what is happening inside this VNet? A entry is happening in one of the table that says in this IP there is a VM1 and in this IP there is a VM2. So there is a table which is getting updated as soon as you are adding a VM or a resource. So that table is nothing but a route table. So something are getting automatically added. Those are called system routes and those are maintained by Azure itself. So Azure automatically creates a route table for each subnet. For each subnet, Azure automatically creates a route table for each subnet within Azure Virtual Networks and adds system default routes to the table. So you don't need to create a different route table if you are adding any VMs. So Azure automatically maintains it. You can't create system routes and you can't remove system routes. So these are system routes created by Azure. You can't remove or update or do anything on this. But you can uh, but you can override some system routes with custom routes. So we'll come to that next in the next one. User defined routes are some custom routes. Okay. And VMs and any resources within subnet and VNet can communicate. So within subnet and VNet, they can communicate because the system route table is getting automatically updated. What does that mean? Anything in the VNet will get will be able to communicate with each other, and you don't need to create or update any routing table. So
Okay.
yeah, though internet access is blocked at NSG, it can access NTP server or system updates. So we are trying to so on the VNet, once you add NSG, right, it will block internet, but still NTP and system updates get downloaded. So if you are using a VM, which is a Windows or a Linux, CentOS or anything, the system updates will automatically they get downloaded from over the internet. And NTP is, I think this is a timing protocol, so it will sync up with the time. So once we enable with respect to your time zone, that will update the server time inside the system. So these two will be enabled by default, but by default, internet, the overall downloads and everything will be blocked. So this is how the system routes are configured and it is taken care by Azure. So the takeaway from this slide is that you don't need to worry about the route table inside a VNet. That is automatically taken care by Azure. Any questions on this?
No.
Yeah, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, default system route. So this is how the table gets updated. So these are some of the things the system route table will have. So unique to the virtual network, next hop is internet, default. These are all public IPs and default. This is one of them. I think by 10 prefixes. Each route includes an address prefix and next hop type. Whenever a virtual network is created, Azure automatically creates the following default system routes for each subnet within the virtual network. Okay, okay, so the next one is user-defined routes. So here in this diagram, you see there is a VNet with 192.168.0.0 by 16, and there is another VNet. This is 169.192.169.0.0 by 16. So what we are trying to do here is there is a requirement that whatever whatever the requests which are coming from the front end subnet should be inspected via in a network virtual appliance, and then it should pass to the database subnet. So if I don't create a network virtual appliance here, then what happens now that these front-end subnet and database subnet are in the same VNet, they will directly communicate using system routes. Now I want to introduce a route where all the packets should be first inspected, then it should go to the database subnet. So I will create one routing table so that the packets are via this NVA to the database subnet. So we want to inspect the traffic flowing between front-end subnet and database subnet using a network virtual appliance. We add a UDR. UDR means user-defined routes, and assign them to front-end subnet. Peering must be added between the VNets for communicate. So one thing is you should, once you create the routing table allows you to associate that table to the subnet. One takeaway is that routing table will allow you to associate to the subnet. So to the subnet you can add directly. The second is for communication between these VNet, we should create the peering. Then only the packets will flow via this, or else it will drop in between itself. So I will show
It
you.
means like
Hmm,
on top of subnet, we create a rule. Uh, then that subnet will be paired with different subnets, which are in region one and region two, so that it can be communicated. But whatever the traffic coming from outside to reach the server, this is going to be act as a mediator to verify whether it need to be go to the database server or the application server, something like that, right?
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it will go via through that, and we want to inspect. There is a requirement we want to inspect, and we want to drop some certain packets in between. We don't want to allow everything to go to database. So that kind of user defined routes we can enable, and yeah, that's how it works.
Got it.
So next is the service endpoints. So in this diagram, if you see, uh, we have one virtual network 10.1.0.0/16, and there is a subnet 10.1.1.0/24. This is a subnet inside a VNet, and there is a virtual machine. Now there is a storage account we have created. Okay, and the storage account, uh, this storage account has some images or some data which we are trying to access. Okay, by default, if you enable uh, public access, you can download from internet
Okay.
and also from on-premise. Okay, but we don't want to enable storage access, public access to the storage account, because this is a corporate network or your office network. We don't generally allow the internet, so that we will disable. There are two ways which are still left. One is allowing a VNet. The second one is creating private endpoint. So now we are discussing about allowing the VNet, kind of allowing VNet. So what we do, we allow the VNet and subnet. Then what happens? You are allowing this VNet and subnet. Whatever the IPs are there inside this subnet, they can communicate with this account and download the images. So once we add this on the storage account networking part, this VM will be able to communicate and take the data from storage account. This is by default disabled. And also on-premise will not be able to communicate with this storage account. If you want the on-premise to be communicating with this account, then we should allow the NATing and on-premise NATing rules we should add. Then that is a different topics. So once you configure that, you will be able to access this one. Okay, so in the lab, I will show you how we can access by service endpoint. And what service endpoint, what are the features of this? So it provides secure and direct connectivity to Azure services, use an optimized route through the Azure backbone network for better performance. So here the Azure account is having the public address. And but now that we have disabled the public access, it will use the Azure backbone, and it will allow you to secure Azure resources to specify virtual networks only. So not all Azure resources will be able to access, only a specific subnet and a virtual network will be able to access this resource. That kind of facility will be given by the service endpoints. And it will enable private IP addresses in your VNet to access Azure services. No need for public IPs. So it improves security, reliability, and networks efficiency. We need to enable access from VNets to this service. So that's how it works. So in general, Azure recommends to use, instead of service endpoints, it says to use the private endpoints. Why it recommends private endpoints? What is this private endpoints? Even in our office network, we are using the private endpoints. So how it works? So in this diagram, this diagram explains you what is private endpoint. So what is happening? You have a resource group, then generally, and then you have a VNet like before, and you have a subnet. So this subnet has this virtual machine, and we are creating one private endpoint. Private endpoint will is like a NIC, network interface card, which will have a IP address. Suppose this subnet has 10.0.0.24, and this is having 0.4 IP address. And you can assign 0.5 IP address to this. That means 10.0.0.4 to virtual machine, 10.0.0.5 to this private endpoint, which is nothing but a NIC, network interface card. Then what you will do, this private endpoint which has IP address, you will attach that to the storage accounts. So now what happens? This private endpoint will enable you to communicate with the storage account, right? Even if you take VM, VM will have a processor, memory, and everything. But what this VM makes it to be a part of subnet is a NIC card, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
So that NIC card is part of this subnet. Similarly, this private endpoint is also kind of a NIC card. So that is also part of the subnet. Only thing is that the NIC card of virtual machine is attached to the VM, and this NIC card or the private endpoint is attached to the storage account.
Storage. Okay.
Yeah, so these private endpoints you can attach to storage accounts, you can attach to container registries, many resources. There are a bunch of resources in Azure you can attach and make them part of this subnet.
Okay.
Then it's like, everything are in your own intranet and you are able to access. So you have a storage background, right? Think that there is a VM, there are multiple VMs, and there is one VM which has a JBOD, just bunch of disks.
Yep.
Okay, or NAS. And what you are doing, you are assigning one IP to that JBOD, and you are trying to access through your machines in your VNet.
Yes.
It works in the same way.
Okay.
Uh, should I explain it? I mean, are you able to understand how it works?
Yeah, I got your point.
You
So
are
it's
able to
like,
correlate, right?
yeah, I can add. That's what I'm just reframing myself after you said.
Yeah. So these private endpoints are little important. And even in the beginning, I had little confusion between these service endpoints and private endpoints. But basically, we use the private endpoints a lot. I will show you a lab once I explain this slide. So Azure Private Links is something which is part of this private endpoint. Okay, Azure Private Link allows secure access to Azure PaaS services like storage, SQL databases, and partner or customer services through a private endpoint. It allows all traffic flows through the Microsoft backbone network, not the public internet. This improves security, privacy, and reliability. You can also create your own private link service to privately offer service to your customers. So a private endpoint is a network interface. A private endpoint is a network interface with a private IP address from your virtual network. It provides private and secure connectivity to Azure services via private link. So this IP to that service is nothing but the private link. So when enabled, the service becomes part of your virtual network as if it's running inside it. Helps you eliminate exposure of services to the public internet. So the same things which I tried to explain before. Okay, so I will show you the service endpoints and private endpoints. Then I will go to the user defined routes. Go back, and I already have two VNets and two VMs, which are in two different regions and two different regions. And I have created a storage account. Mm, okay, this is the storage account. I forgot to which VNet I have added. Mm, I think it doesn't have any VNet or anything. I need to still add that. So if you go to networking, let's see, is it part of any VNet? No. The public network access is disabled, no private endpoints. So the networking, so everything what we are trying to do on related to the service endpoints or private endpoints can be configured from networking feature on this storage account. So the first thing first, we'll try to configure service endpoints. Before that, let's try to access this over the internet. So I'll first enable from all networks. So once I enable this storage account, I will be able to access my containers, my data in the storage account. So this is one of the image, right? And if you go here, copy URL, and I should be able to access new incognito window. So I'm able to download my
Yep.
image over the internet. Now, if I disable the public internet on this, I go to so there is a recommendation, or there are security vulnerabilities which coming up if you enable the public internet on
Yes.
storage account or anything. So it is highly recommended that we disable the public internet. So enable from all network access. So now I will disable
Allow
this.
only secure and or you're disable. Okay.
Right now I will disable and try to browse it from outside.
Okay.
Then after that, I will create a service endpoint. I mean, enable that from one of the VNet. Mm, go back. Uh, new incognito window. Control V. Did I save this? Public internet disabled. Okay. Control refresh. See, once I refresh, that is gone and it says authorization failure. This request is not authorized to perform this operation. So this is expected because we disabled the public internet. Next, what we will do, we will allow only a VNet and subnet to access this storage account. Before that, let me log into one of the VMs. Let me log into VM2, which I logged in earlier. Now I'll try to access it from VM2 and let's see if I'm able to connect. Oh, I can access, this is one thing, wget URL, I think it won't allow. Let me type https is to // okay, declines dot co.windows.net. I'm just trying to download. So it says resolving tech lines. So it is not able to access. It gives 403 unauthorized. Okay, now I will make this part of this storage account. I will update the networking here and I'll make sure this is allowed from that VNet and manage. Then I will say disable. No, I will enable, but not from all networks, enable from selected networks. And so this is, this I have added just some time back. So it has come up as soon as I have enabled. Okay. So if not, you have to add existing virtual network. Then you need to select one of the VNet like this and say you can select the default, then it will look like this, then enable.
Mm.
So this is added. So you see there are two virtual networks which got added. Address range is this. Now and one subnet is added under this, the default subnet, and this is also default subnet. Only these two virtual networks and these subnets will any resources under these subnets will only be able to access this storage account. So that's how it will work. And I will save this. And let me come back here and let me try to download. So I'm expecting this should work. See, it actually downloaded it, and the image 2 is .png is downloaded, which is of 801.06K. So this is downloaded and it is saved. So this is working. Now what I will do, I want to enable the private endpoint. I don't want to use any, I don't want to allow all the VNets or like that. I just want to enable a private endpoint and make it part of the VNet. This one, like this, I want to do. So how you can do, I'll go back, manage, then I'll say disabled, proceed. So we saw once we disable, I won't be able to access.
Yeah.
So I have disabled it and let me try again. It's able to download, but it should fail once the configuration is set. Is this saved? We have disabled. And I will say instead of 2, I will say 3. See, it failed. Okay. And this command, what it does, it will just download from this URL and this will save out this to img3.png. That is the name with which I want to save on my desk. I mean, on my disk. And so now we have disabled the access from the internet. I'll go ahead and add the private endpoint. So this is disabled. So this is the proper way how you should be doing in the corporate network. You should disable the private public access, then go ahead and create a private endpoint. So I'll create a private endpoint. So this basically will create a network interface. Okay, and I will put that in the same resource group and Nick I will call. Mm, I mean the name will be private endpoint for storage and Central US, same region and next. So this is a blob, right? This is a blob.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure the target resource you are selecting is proper one, sub resource, and it is a star here. Make sure you are selecting blob. And which virtual network? VNet main. I'll go back. I want to use try it from VNet 2, sorry, VM2 that is in East US. So I will select that East US. Why I have come back? Because I don't want, see, it will allow only those VNets which are in the same region. If I select Central US in the basic, right? Central US region. So the VNets in that Central US will pop up in the while configuring VNets. Now that I am on VNet VM2, right? I want to test it from here because we have done half of the lab, and I
Yeah.
want to test it from East US VM. So I just changed this. So just make sure you are keeping a proper region here, or else it won't show you the VNets properly.
Attached units. Yeah.
Yeah, attached VNet. So VNets will be shown from the same region. So that's the region I have to come back and change the region. So VNet US. I'll not touch any of this. DNS. This is one more thing. We have seen the private DNS zones, right? So
Yeah.
what it does for storage account, um, a IP address will be there, right? That gets added in the storage in these DNS zones. We'll go ahead and check what records are there. So once you check the records, you see the IP address. Like if some IP like 10.0.0.5, the next IP is that only, right? Dot 4 has been assigned to VM. 0.5 is there. That gets assigned to this storage account. And IP will be attach it to this storage account name. This storage account has some name like this is the name techlines dev stg.blob.code.windows.net, right? That record gets added. So we'll go ahead and check. So that record will be maintained in a private DNS zone. We have covered one topic on private DNS zone, if you remember, where we are
Yeah.
adding VMs and then automatically the records are getting added, the VM names and IPs. Then now just create. So once you create, uh, what is happening? It will create a NIC and NIC, a network interface card, and a IP will be assigned to that. And that NIC will be attached to this storage account. Second, it will create a private DNS zone, a new private DNS zone, and a record will be added to that.
Yeah. So sorry, can you repeat again?
So once we create this, what will happen? It will create the NIC, private
Yes.
endpoint it will create, and also it will create the private DNS zones. So these two things will get added.
Okay. Okay. I just got confused. That's all.
Okay. Okay. We'll go to the resource. This is a private endpoint storage for the storage account. So by name itself, you should be able to understand this is a private endpoint, and this is part of a virtual network default route. And this is the network interface card. I will try to open this. This is the NIC. And this network interface has this IP address 10.0.0.5. And this is attached to private endpoint. And this private endpoint is attached to the storage account. I'll go back. And if you come here, you will see DNS configuration. Yeah. So if you go and check the DNS configuration of this private endpoint, it says this IP address and this is the
One
FQDN.
experience. Yeah.
And this is a private DNS zones which is attached to this one. And once you go and check private DNS zones and check the records, you see this tech lines dev stg a address record is added
Yeah.
to this IP address.
Yeah. Host a recorder.
Yeah, so that's how it is added. And we'll go back to the storage account and let's see storage account and networking. Public access is disabled and private
Disable.
endpoints. So this is
Yes.
added. And this connection name is this, and connection state is auto approved, and description auto approved. So with this storage account has now become part of this subnet. So now this virtual machine should be able to connect to the storage account via private endpoint. Earlier, I was trying to download this image from this storage account, and
Yeah.
it failed because we have disabled and there was no private endpoint. Now I'm expecting that it should work. See, it is able to connect and it is able to download. So that's how the private endpoints enables the communication between the different resources in the VNet and subnet. And so this is about the private endpoints. We'll see the um, so system routes, user defined routes, right? So let's check this table. What is the table name? Route table. Route table. you see the route tables. So there is one route table rule already added. Okay, anyhow, we'll create a new route table. Let's create a new route table, and I'll put it in the same region, and route table name is RT100. So this is a user defined route table. I'll go ahead and create. So only once you create the route table, inside that route tables, you can add the rules. Review and create. Is it still creating? No, it is deployed.
It succeed, right?
Yeah. And okay, let me try to check from here. Yeah, RT100. So this is the route table, and routes. You can add routes here. Suppose I want to add route. So earlier in this example, we want all the traffic from here to go to this NVA, network virtual device, and go to this one. So we don't have VNet 2. We have this is a VNet East US we have, and VNet main, right? So from one of them, we will try to transfer the, route all the traffic to VNet in another region, then go to this one. Or make sure that, every traffic which is in subnet is going to here and getting inspected, and then it is splitting from there. Okay, I will add route. I will say route table uh, via East US, and destination type IP address. Destination can be anything, 0.0.0/, because I don't know where the packet wants to reach. I don't say 24.0. Next hop, I'll say internet, then add, and I will add one more. Um, Subnet route, and service tag, VNet. Can I add VNet? No. This should be IP address only, and the destination is 192.168.0.0/16. This is the uh, VNet IP range for which is in East US. Next hop is VNet. That. So basically, you are trying to add some rules here so that the traffic is getting routed. So which one will take priority out of this? This cider is a bigger cider. This cider is a little. This cider is a smaller cider. So the cider which is smaller will take the top priority. Then the cider which is larger. So the first rule which gets implemented is this. After this, that goes to this one. Okay, now you want to add these routes or associate these routes to subnets. So you have to come here and select. So now that I want to add this to main, so I think while I created route table, I have selected uh, East US. So it is showing only this VNet. So let me check this default and okay. So this is how you can add a user-defined routes. Okay, if there is a requirement, you can add the routes here. Additional routes, how many routes you want to add, you can add the routes here, and you can associate those routes to the subnets. So this is pretty much about a system and user-defined routes. Basically, the instructions for the routing table to follow. So yeah, so these are the topics for today. We have covered user-defined routes, system routes, user-defined routes, Azure private endpoints, and Azure service endpoints. Yeah, that's all for the day. Do you have any questions or anything?
No. So this one I'm gonna rewind again and understand one more time. So because some
Yeah,
of the topics are little bit off to me, but I'll go through the video again and I'll recall it. And while doing a lab, I think I would recall that things.
sure, sure. Do you have a subscription?
I took a subscription,
Okay,
the default subscription. I took a basic one a couple days back. Not implemented much lab on. I was pending with this networking part of lab part, so I'm gonna do it. Maybe this week I'm gonna sit it on. I was pretty occupied on the office stuff, so couldn't concentrate much on the lab side.
okay.
I'll do this weekend.
Have your own subscription, then you can work around. But make sure you are deleting them. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and every day it will show you you can go and check your costing also. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
you if you delete right after your labs, maybe 2 or 3 hours you work. So morning I wake up at 5:30 or 6. I just try things. Okay, before I actually come to the session, I show you things, right? So
yeah,
no, from last 8-10 days, this is what has costed me. So I'm just showing you because because people they they are not taking this pay as you go, thinking it might go out of control. But if you are a little disciplined, you can work around with this one. Okay.
yeah. Even in past, I had a subscription and I used to do a labs, but somehow I lost the touch again. So I'm back on track. So I'm gonna do this weekend. So most probably I'll complete all the this week lab sessions. Till now, what all the lab sessions we did, I'll complete them. And if I see any errors, then I'll come back to you with the questions.
Okay. Okay then, Amar. Thank you. Then
See you.
let's we can
Happy
we can
Friday.
wind up for the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next session will be on Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll continue with application gateways, load balancer next week. Then we'll go to the VMs.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.